can you tell me just a little bit about the National Recycling Coalition and its mission?
Sure. The National Recycling Coalition was started in the 1970s, and our goal is to be the voice of recycling in America. And we have 20 state affiliates who we work with, and we focus on areas of policy, working with corporations on partnerships to promote recycling, and in general reaching the public to encourage them to recycle more of their products.
David, you mentioned Staples is being honored tonight. Can you tell me a little bit more about Staples' leadership and practices?
You know, Staples has been one of those companies that hasn't been out, with the flag raised from the top of their building telling people about these things. They've been doing things. They've been doing the deeds, as I like to say. So, for example, they started electronic recycling in virtually all of their stores 2 years ago. They've been leaders in using solar panels on their stores, and they have now hundreds of stores that have solar energy. They've been leaders in recycled content and moving towards higher levels of recycled content.
What other best practices are you seeing from leading companies in terms of sustainability?
Well, I think there's two movements going on. One of them is certainly to focus on the supply chain. For so many companies who do not manufacture anymore, or for those who have bought products for a long time, they recognize that it's not about employee travel. The office is important, but so much of the supply chain is what are the individual companies that they're buying from, and that entire supply chain. What's the carbon footprint? What are the environmental impacts of that? And certainly the other big issue, of course, is energy. Everybody, recognizes that we are facing a huge energy challenge. Prices may be down today, but I think most people feel that's temporary. Supply is going to be a big issue, and of course those issues will have impact on the forest products industry as also.
Okay. As former director of Time Inc., how do you see the role of sustainable forestry in the publishing world in general?
Well, there's been tremendous change in this area in the last 10 years, and it's now widely recognized by magazine publishers, book publishers, and others that the demand for certified fiber is real. It's there, and they're asking their entire supply chain for it. And most of them are looking at various standards for certification. That's important, and I think we're going to start moving now beyond the initial idea of making sure that our forest was well managed and certifiable, and in fact certified. But we're starting to look more at the carbon footprint of that forest, looking at the development pressures that the industry faces, and how do we find the right sustainable balance in the future.
David, you spoke about the need for recycled content and recovered paper. You also spoke about the increasing recognition of those in publishing to look at and recognize forest certification and multiple standards. Could you speak a little bit about those two specific issues?
Well, I think more and more we're going to be looking at them as complementary. The industry will have players who use recycled content. They will have players who use certified fiber. There will be a lot of players who will use both of those. So I think more and more we'll be looking at what are the resources that are available for us to use. I think most people would expect that as the demand for energy and non-fossil fuel energy grows, that will be placing more challenges on forestry. So I think recycling, recovery will be something that will be really important for the industry in the long term.
What change or progress do you hope to see a year from now when it's time to recognize another company?
Well, we're facing some very large public policy issues right now that are at the forefront of the Obama administration, and that, of course, being cap and trade and energy independence in general. Will we have a cap and trade agreement? What impact will that have? I think most experts would think that once you monetize carbon dioxide, we're going to see significant changes in companies' policies, just not the utilities and other players in the energy sector, but for corporations in general. And for companies to be focused not only on the cost of energy, but on lowering their carbon footprint and positioning themselves to be sellers of carbon credits and not buyers of carbon credits will become a strategic imperative for companies.